How to choose your welding path. Hello, family. My name is Black Feniks. I'm the owner of HogOn Welding and the founder of HogOn University. And today I just wanted to take a brief time to talk about how to choose your welding path. For those who don't know who are beginners, when you're entering welding, you have four different processes. You have stick welding, you have MIG welding, you have flux core welding, and you have TIG welding. All of these processes require you to have different tools and actually different PPE at times. So if you was doing some stick welding, depends on how you're stick welding. If it's overhead a lot or you're under in tight positions, you might have to wear thick leathers and other heavy duty safety PPE. Now, if you are doing some shop MIG welding, you probably can wear a small apron and just your gloves and your hood, and just a small amount of PPE with your safety glasses. Now, when you're doing TIG welding, you could be doing actually the same thing. You could actually just be wearing a heavy duty RFI shirt. You can have your jeans on. I've seen people TIG weld with short pants and shoes on. It depends on what they're doing. If they're doing high frequency TIG welding on aluminum or stainless, a lot of TIG welding is mostly done on aluminum and stainless, but it's also done on carbon in the field. Sometimes I have installed handrails inside of homes where we had to TIG weld them to keep from any type of sparks. So I was TIG welding carbon inside the house to keep any type of sparks down. And normally that process is used inside of places where it's very it's an opportunity of catching a fire. So you have different processes, and then when you're dealing with flux core is kind of like stick welding. And I'm gonna say it's kind of like stick welding some because it's dirty. It got flux on it like a stick rod, like a 6011 rod, 6010 rod. So you can get dirty, you can get popped and get little BBs. So some people don't like to get burnt. So if you don't like the sparks and stuff like that, then stick welding and probably flux core welding might not be something that you want. Now, when you're doing regular MIG welding, you still have a chance to get in the spark. But on a lot of that, if you're doing ornamental stuff or small decorative stuff, is you can kind of get it down at a minimum. But if you don't want none at all, you can choose TIG welding processes. You can TIG weld everything. The only difference is TIG welding to me, the processes a little longer when you're trying to build certain things. Now, if you're just piecing certain things together, then it's not bad. But if you're doing a lot of TIG welding, the process can be long. I used to TIG weld aluminum parts on the ambulances in Newport, Arkansas once I got out of prison. So for those who don't know, when I was in prison is when I grafted welding. My mom actually came to visitation and she talked to me about welding when I was around 17. And she was talking to me about welding because she seen it on TV. She knew the environment I was in. I wasn't probably going to get out and get a regular job. And she's seen that they can make a lot of money. They travel, they do different things. And it sparked her attention to the point where she had to share it to me on visitation, fam. And she planted that seed in me then. And not only did she plant the seed, she also sent me some information from a public library at the time. So that way I had some visual and I had some information and I knew a little history and I knew about different processes of it. So I think getting that type of information is great. But my mom introduced it to me while I was in prison. So when I was in prison, I took a combination of welding class. It took me about 14 months. I learned TIG, MIG, and stick welding in 4 positions. And then I also learned pipe welding. My instructor was a master welder. So since I finished the criteria early, he actually taught me another process, which was pipe welding with a stick, and we was using 6010 and 7018 rods. So that's what I learned on the side. And then we also learned fabrication. We was building trailers, fabricating little stuff, but trailers was something that he built a lot. I don't know if he was just doing it for different friends and different people, but it was a nice product for us to learn how to square things up, mount things, the way things supposed to go. So I learned a lot of that, but my welding education began inside of prison, inside of a cell. So you can't knock how you start. You just want to get started. So once I got the information, I was just encouraged to learn more about it because I didn't want to go to the same lifestyle. I didn't want to do the same things I was doing when I was um, free before. You know what I mean? So what I did was I got some more education, and it allowed me to transform myself. So when I got out, I really wasn't looking for a job, so to speak. I got a job when I got out, but I had a career, and I didn't understand it at the moment that how valuable it is to have a career versus a job. A lot of times, a career you can turn into a business. Now, you can turn a job into a business as well. But if you have a career, you're actually making more money, more income, and you can actually be able to tailor it into something bigger later. And so that's what I've been doing with the welding classes, with building welding skids and welding products and shipping container conversions. When I share my hashtag of Imagine Your Container, a lot of it is different products that I've been forming out of welding. So you can take a skill and you can turn it into a product. Now, when I say product over talent, it doesn't mean that talent isn't important. It just means that we have to take the talent, learn the talent, and then start building our own products to set ourselves free. But I think that it's valuable to have on the job training, to have some type of apprenticeship to be under, because what you'll learn under someone hands on in the field, you're not going to get just sitting in the classroom, fam. I'm gonna be honest with you. So when I teach, I always teach like we out there. I like to show them hands on, because there's a lot of tricks, a lot of things you can do that the school will prolong you and won't give you that. So honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like learning from a private welding facility or private a coach or a private instructor is wise. Also, getting it from certain programs can be good. 2 weeks to 6 weeks to, they got some 16-week programs. So it all depends. I would say that um, when you're pursuing your trade of welding and you're pursuing the path that you want to go in, just consider on what you want to do. Do you want to travel? Do you want to fabricate? Do you just want to weld? Some people just want to just burn, burn, burn. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you have to know that certain welding gives caps as far as how much money you can make. Now, if you just want to be a MIG welder only, you're probably going to reach a cap for probably, I'm going to say in my personal opinion, you're probably not going to make over $22 an hour. That's probably like a high cap for just a regular MIG welder. If you're doing some MIG welding and some fabrication and some blueprint reading, you might hit 25, 27, but it depends on where you live and where you at. Also, if you're doing field welding, field welders usually start out around anywhere from, if you're a good field welder, for about 17, 18 in the field. Normally, I was seeing when I left Feniks, they were starting about 18 to $20 an hour. $22 an hour, you're a real good welder. If you get 25, you've been around for a minute and kind of seasoned in, but they will pay you 25. I was actually getting $25 an hour. I was getting 22 to 25 when I was doing contract work. When I did contract work that paid, when I used their equipment, I got no less than 25. If I was doing like a shutdown or turnaround contract for 30 days or something, 60 days, sometimes they would be the less, would be 22, and then they pay for everything else. And then I was getting to some jobs where I was doing piecework. In the piecework, you pay more money. So if you a flux core welder, stick welder, you can do piecework in the field, working on concrete buckets, washout pans, different things of that nature. Depends on where you're located at. And that can bring a lot of income. So, from fabricating gates and doing security bars and doors to doing pipe welding, fitting, and repairing, fam. So, if you into welding, the career path is big. I just wanted to say, so don't limit yourself. Treat yourself, as the old folks want to say. Just sit down and really evaluate yourself. Like, I think that welding allows your person to be catered to their personality. So you can pick, you got 4 different processes you can pick from. And I like to say we are threefold beings: mind, body, and soul. So if you got 4 processes, which really it's 3, because MIG welding and flux core welding is still wire welding, still automatic welding, but there's it's 2 different processes. One is with gas, one is without gas. And so, you tend to do something different. Like, you're going to make sure you do your patterns and stuff with your flux core, versus if you just have regular MIG and you're doing post, you can just go straight. So it all depends on what you're doing. But I would say this: you have a great chance of really open up a great door for you. I did, family. At this present time, I'm 42 years old, and I started welding, like I say, in prison, and it has been a blessing to me. I'm over 20 years in, and now I do more field welding, MIG welding, and um, teaching, educating. I think it's very important because when I was coming up, I couldn't get the education that I wanted. But I'm glad that I was around in prison where I was hungry, and it was like 3 or 4 of us, and we all got together and we read together and we got in the booth and we practiced together and we taught one another how to really get it. I was telling one of my students that my welding instructor didn't come in the booth and weld. You know, he didn't do it. Like, so I always be hands on to show you I can do it, to show you what it needs to look like. And I think that's very well. And when I was learning, he just tell me, it got to look like this. Go on and look at the book. Oh, it don't look like this. You know what I mean? But he wasn't showing me. And I think, you know, me holding their hand or showing them, or me grabbing my gloves and my hood and me jumping inside of the booth, or, you know, striking the arc, I think it helps a person gets more comfortable with it. Because one thing I have learned about knowledge, fam, and I want to pass this on to you, even if you don't know something, fam, I don't care what it is. If you can see someone else do it, you can do it. So keep that in mind. You might not can't do it the way that they got it. Like, they might got it to a fine pen. They might have a gift at it, or they've been at it for a while. But just know you can do it. You might have to put a little bit more work in. You might have to tweak the way that they did it to get it, so that way you can do it, you know, the proper way, but you can do it. So it always encouraged me when I see something and I visualize and I see that a man can do it. If a man can do it, that means you can do it, fam. So just figure out what direction you want to go to. Don't get discouraged, but I will say, you can find on-the-job training. There's many facilities out right now that who's hiring at, you know, at base minimum, but you have to stay there. There's different private facilities out, a lot of private different facilities. I teach private welding in McGee, Arkansas. I also teach in East Point, Atlanta, Georgia, and I teach in Birmingham, Alabama. And my goal is with the welding classes is to help with the need of the area. So right now I see that the two biggest needs of the classes that's actually really helping people is a 40-hour course and a 80-hour course. The 40-hour course is $1,000, and it pretty much give you flux core, and MIG welding or stick welding, whichever one you want to pick. And we'll go over the fine tunes in 3 to 4 positions, and we do some fitting and make sure we can read a tape measure, so that way we can be able to do some fabrication, the introduction. Now, the bigger course, I actually teach you fabrication. It's a combination of all things. So I'm going to teach you 3 processes, actually: MIG, flux core, and stick welding. I don't teach TIG welding a lot in this particular course, because a lot of times it's not a need in the area where people are looking for employment, quick jobs. When it comes to MIG and flux core and stick welding, a lot of times you can get some quick employment. So that's what I teach. I really try to help people get some money up, so that way they can actually start enjoying the trade. So with that course right there for 80 hours, I had it priced at around 1850, but I had to kind of tweak it. So right now I got it around 2150, due to what I have to teach. I have actually had a few people wanting to learn blueprint reading, fabrication, and combination of welding. And a lot of people don't know how to read a tape measure, so I put a lot of information. Then I have different videos to watch. So I kind of amped it up a little bit due to the time, because it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of stuff I have to cram into it. But I really believe for $2,000, fam, an 80-hour course that can teach you something that can change your life, literally. You can spend 5,000, 16,000 if you can get a grant, and they got programs that'll take you through. It's pretty much $1,000 a week, and you learn different things. So it all depends on what you want to get into. But those are my personal classes. Like I said, I have one that's 1,000 and one that's 2150. And like I say, it's more of a combination of all the way around. And I put more, and everything is hands on. It's an individual class, me and that person. So I don't, when I do classes like that, it doesn't be like a big classroom. It just be one individual. But at times I have done two at a time. So normally there'll be small class settings, and some people, when they spend their money like that, they want a one-on-one to really, really get it. and I have no problem with that. So I do one-on-ones, and actually when we do the class ones, they're going to be a lot cheaper. So we'll be coming back with some more prices when we're doing it as a class, like if it's 5 to 12 people in a class or whatnot. We'll do different as far as the pricing to help everybody save money. But I believe that the welding process is grand. How to pick your welding path is just knowing what direction you want to go in. Do you want to travel? Do you want to build your own products? Excuse me, let me get some of my coffee. It was a long day for me yesterday. I actually had a little trouble on the road, but I made it home safe. Thank God for that. And so I'm actually regrouping. These are just some welding stuff that I had inside of this storage facility here. So I just wanted to have it in the background. My welders, actually, all of my welders is inside of my truck and at my house. So right now, this is just some things that I had behind me, some things I still had, which was a cutting torch, the aluminum spool gun, a bottle of argon, my TA torch, and some more equipment, a pedal, some grinders, some different tools that I need. And like I say, normally I keep a small welder on me at all times. I think that it's wise that we would, once we learn the trade, we would start investing in the tools. Once you learn the trade, start investing in the tools. Don't be one of those old men that I met that said they've been welding 20, 30, 40 years and they don't have a welding machine. They don't even, some of them only got some boots, some gloves, and a welding hood. And some leathers or some, a coat or something. But that's about it. And I think that we need to invest more into the craft. So I want to talk about what machines to purchase as a beginner. One of my followers asked me about that because a lot of people who learn want to jump into business, building products or working on vehicles or making custom appliances and different things for household, outdoor, indoor. And, they want to know what machine to get. And I want to be honest with you, fam, there is a lot. And that's one reason I really didn't want to show a welder here, where the welder go, because there's a lot, and honestly, it's to each his own. But I will tell you this. I think that it's wise that you at least get you a welder that can weld up to 5/16. If you get you a welder that can weld up to 5/16, that's pretty a doable welder. Um, you can do a lot of stuff around home, a lot of quick repairs with flux core, with stick welding. So if you can at least do that, that can be a game changer. So I would say at least get you a 140 unit. If it's a Miller or Lincoln or Esau or there's a lot of different brands out there. There's a lot of different brands you can go to, from Home Depot to Lowe's to Harbor Freight, wherever you shop at. I would say get you a good, reliable one. We tend to just ask questions without doing any research, and we got a nice iPhone or Android in our hand. Just say, Google, is this a good welder? What everybody say about it? What's the ratings on it? And that way, it kind of helps you form an idea on what machine you should purchase. In my personal opinion, I spend my money on Lincoln. I like Lincoln and Miller. I get both, but on my teaching, I buy more Lincoln. So majority of my products are Lincoln 180, Lincoln 140. I got a Lincoln 252. And those are great units. I like them, especially for teaching. I learned on Lincoln machines. So I don't know. I just like them. They're simple. And like I said, I have used some great Miller welders. But I learned on Lincoln, so that's pretty much what I use a lot. A lot of my education material that I get is from Lincoln. I order a lot of my test plates from the James L. Foundation, Lincoln Foundation. So, I network with them. I really like what they do, and they've been around for a long, long, long time, giving education, building products, pipelines, shops. So, I just stick with what works, and, it's affordable. Because one thing about Lincoln that I do like, you don't have to break the bank. You know what I'm saying? They won't break the bank. You can actually get started buying you some used Lincoln equipment if you can't afford anything new. You can look on your local markets. I'm gonna tell you something. Those who have Facebook Market is a great place to buy equipment, tools, things like that. Craigslist, OfferUp, whatever you use. A lot of different people go to yard sales. different flea markets. You know, you can find deals just different places. You just got to keep your eyes open. It's kind of like getting a new car. You ever seen how once you got an eye on this car you really want to get, you start driving around, you see that car everywhere. Man, I didn't even notice so many people had that car. But now you're conscious of it because in your subconscious mind, you've been dwelling on it. So it's the same thing to me. I think about machines and about welders. You'll start getting more, your eyes will start opening more and you get more familiar with the process. So I think that it is wise that we would just, start doing a little research and start seeing what we want. Let me stop real quick, save the message and see what anyone says. I want to make sure I save them. Good rising, good rising. Hog on, hog on. So, like I say, my goal is to just give you just a little education on what direction you need to go in. So I would say that if you're gonna kill several birds in one stone, getting started, at least get you a 180 unit if you don't want to break. I mean, a 140 unit if you don't want to break the bank. You can buy those used or new. You're probably looking at, if you're gonna get you a multi-processing one, you're probably gonna look at about $1,000, $800, $900. You probably about $900 to $1,000, $1,100 on one. And if it's one with all the stuff to it, you probably spend about 13 to 1600, 1500. If you're getting you a 210 from Lincoln or a 180, they do have the dual processors 180 that does stick and MIG welding. And they do have the dual voltage 180s that do 110 and 220. I think those are good. So if you can get you a unit that can do 110 and 220, you can be able to kill several birds with one stone when you're doing service calls. A lot of homes, I do this a lot. A lot of homes have power. A lot of companies have power, and it doesn't take a lot of electricity to actually boot your unit up and get the process done. So you can cater a price to using someone else's power when you're doing the job. So when you go out, you can be at the job and say, okay, if I use your power and not my gas, I give it to you I do it for this amount an hour. So just come up with a price that's fair, that you think is reasonable. I also want to say that when you're picking out your machine, don't get caught up in brands, just get caught up in what's reliable. I say Google what's reliable, what other people have used, what you know that works. There's no reason to try to reinvent the wheel and try something new and get yourself caught up. Just pick something that works, family, and go from there. But like I say, I would say at least start off at a 140 unit. I wouldn't go with a 125 because that's really like the sheet metal. You can't really do too many repairs with a 125. But that 140 actually get hot enough with flux core that you can actually do some good penetration. And so I think if you can get you a 140 wire welder starting out, that's a plus. And if you can afford something, a little better, I get the multi-processor. So if you can get the multi-processor that does 220 and 110, power to the people, you finna get a bag. You know what I'm saying? Because that just gives you more options to make money. So I think when you're learning welding, like I say, there's 4 processors. You can learn all 4. I know all 4, and you can be able to utilize them to do different things. I had a few of my followers ask me also about welding and having your medical marijuana card. I have actually my medical marijuana card, and I would say that some companies test and ask for it and say, it doesn't matter, you still got to be drug free. And some companies, don't even ask or don't even say if you're not on any hard drugs, or if you can come to work, they don't even test for that because, you have people who are prescribed to prescriptions that are harsher drugs than what you're taking if it's 420. So, it's just different places. I see that certain states don't even, can't even ask you on the application now. So Google those states. I think one of them is Nevada. They don't discriminate on 420 at all when I come to certain jobs. So probably certain union jobs still will require you to be drug free, even though it's a prescription to you. They still say, it is what it is. Certain places will say it's okay. I would say this: if you are a 420 a medical marijuana patient, I would say just look for jobs that that wraps around what you do. And I swear you will find it. I have found them. I've had jobs where I had to take drug tests and I stopped smoking just to get the money because I needed it. Sometimes we do shutdowns and we do things when money get tight or things been slow and you get a good leg and they say, well, you can do this. This coming up in 30 days, 40 days. You might get clean 2 weeks or whatever, and go in and do the job. I've done that too several times. So don't get discouraged. Just do what you got to do. I would say that if you create a door to close, you're gonna always be opening doors. So I like to have rooms with I just walk through. You know what I mean? So I don't even have a door. I don't even put a door or a cap on what I can do. I just find the opportunity. So just find what you want to do as far as your job. If it's not working for you in the area, I will say this: in certain areas, we do have to relocate. Now, it is what it is. I'm in Dumas, Arkansas right now. At the moment, I'm actually getting a guy about to pick up to work on the truck. And in this area, they have a company called Safe Holland that does a lot of MIG welding fabrication. And a lot of it is they do tests on 3 positions: overhead, vertical down, and flat. And they're actually doing this on open root 1 inch plate. So they to me the test procedure is almost overqualifying what you're actually be doing once you get in the company and start welding. But you'll get a chance to have a time. I think it's a week or two to be in the booth to actually get familiar with that process. So I think that for those who are in the area, being in Dumas, McKee, Lake Village, Deramar, Gould, Mitchellville, Pine Bluff, even it's worth coming here for the money if you're into it. So in this area, I think that it is a good opportunity for the area. So I teach a lot of MIG welding process here because that is a good process in the area. And I also want to say this. So since I am a welding instructor and I know that there's a need in the area, and that's one thing you have to do once you start finding your business and you start catering what direction you want to go in, you're going to have to start doing your little homework. Once I noticed that there's a need in the area, there's a high percentage of the black natives, African Americans in the area that's actually working at different factories and shops and families, who are willing to invest in themselves in this area, especially in Dumas, that they need the opportunity to learn. The education isn't here. So when it comes to learning, you even got to go to college. They pretty much did away with the VOTEC, and there's no 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 week courses where a person can get a crash course to start learning. It's just, do you have experience? Have you been doing it for 2 years, a year? So they don't have that. So I figured if I bring that, okay, they got a need of this. I start educating and I start catering the classes around what they need in the area. And I think if you do that, that's how you'll form a successful business, because that company, say Holland, in my personal opinion, isn't going anywhere. They're gonna be around for a while. They're making trailer truck suspensions, and you're gonna see big trucks riding everywhere. If it's with a motor, with a driver or not, if it's a Tesla or a gas or a diesel or electric, it's going to have a wheel suspension on it. So, when you think about things like that, you realize that certain things are going to be here. So when you pick in welding, you can actually jump into fields that, are going to just evolve and get better. So one thing I do love about welding, you can evolve. You might like shop field welding. I like field welding. But when it start getting too cold, I might want to transition in the shop and do some fabrication to get some of that money. And once it warm up, I'm back outside. You know what I mean? So it all depends on what you like to do. But I think it gives you options, fam. And there's nothing like having options. I don't care who you are or what nationality you are. If you can have options where you can say, hey, I can pack up. I can be in Arkansas today, and I could be in California getting the bag tomorrow. I could be in California today, and I could be in Florida getting the bag. I can be in North Dakota. I can be in New Mexico, Colorado, wherever you want to go, anywhere on the East Coast. There's a lot of welding going on, and um, what's that? That was North Carolina. I've seen a lot of welding going on in North Carolina. South Carolina too in certain areas, but North Carolina they got a lot going on. So it depends on where you at. In Georgia, especially in the cities in Atlanta, Macon, in Columbus they got a little bit, but and the bigger ones like Macon is a little bit more welding going on. Atlanta, um, different suburban areas around there I've noticed. So I would say that, fam, once you learn welding, you can take it anywhere you want to go. You don't have to limit yourself, because I think once you start doing that, you're only going to, like I say, close the door. So just keep the door open and figure out what you want to do, but you do have options. So I just want to say that there's 4 processes. Remember that you got MIG welding, and with MIG welding you got regular MIG, which is short circuit MIG, and then you have like the post MIG process, which is more of a 200 to 500 amps. So it burns hotter, like real harder. So you got one that burns maybe up to 200, and then one that burns from 2 to 5 or 4. It's high. You can have a lot of voltage on it. And so there's different processes, and I think that it's wise that we just pick, take your time, figure out what direction you want to go in, and don't get discouraged on how you learn. If it's in a big, nice, pretty shop, or it's in an independent garage or a small facility, because once you learn how to ride a bike, fam, it don't matter what kind of bike it is, a 10-speed or a mountain bike, you gonna learn how to ride a bike. You started out with training wheels on a tricycle, and that's how welding is, man. So once you get into it, once you learn, it isn't who taught you. It's that you learned and that person gave it to you the correct way, because you can learn welding wrong, especially when it comes to passing tests. I've seen people who can weld, but they can't pass a test when it comes to welding. But when it comes to regular just fixing certain things, they can weld, but they can't, pass a test to actually get some good money, or to have that certs in their pocket. I actually just got my new certs updated, my stick welding certs, and now my certs with AWS is good until January of 2023. So normally they keep you going 6 months if every time you pay for it. Now I want to say I'm going to give you an update. AWS is now requiring you to fill out your renewal form online. You can actually download the form, fill it out, and upload it, then pay for it online with your card. So they're doing that now. It's a faster process. They was doing the, send it in, money order. They're getting away from that because of the time and the paperwork. So things are evolving, fam. So I just want to give you an update. Attention, welders. So for those who are not doing it, you're going to have to start. You can download the paper, fill it out, upload it, or screenshot it, and then you pay for it with all the information on there. So there's many ways you can still do it. Some people wanted to ask me about doing your own search. Do you have to have a job? No, you don't. If you got your own search and you just, you work for yourself, you can put down that you work for yourself. You still using them for whatever date and whatever position you've been using them in, and you can sign it and pay for it and keep it going. So as long as you're using it, you don't lose it unless you don't pay for it, So with them, honestly, I honestly feel it's all about money. Let me check in. I seen a couple messages pop up. Appreciate that. Words of wisdom, most definitely. So what weld is giving you problems? What weld process is giving you problems? One thing I have learned, a lot of times when we're learning the welding, a lot of times it's going to be this. It's your angle, it's your closeness, or your travel speed. Now, if your machine is set correct, now if you got your voltage and everything, your voltage is set right, your wire speed that's coming out if you're doing wire welding, but if you're stick welding, if your voltage is right. So if your machine is set right, normally it's going to be 3 things you want to focus on. So, to me, I think of it like driving a stick, fam. You got the gas, the brake, the clutch, and you holding the wheel. So you're doing a few different things. And just think of that when you're welding. You have You want to make sure you have the correct angle. If you got too much of a slanted angle, you're going to be blowing more and popping. If it's too much of this way, it's going to be doing it that way. It's going to stick. So you want to have, I say the rule of thumb is a 15-degree angle. If you can keep that 15-degree angle in whatever position you're in. And then your closeness. I like to say keep it within a quarter inch to the plate. I like to say kiss the plate. And if you got the voltage right, it'll kind of push it off almost like a magnet and then keep you kind of steady. So I would say keep close to a quarter inch, and then your travel speed. You don't want to start like this and then do this. If you start like this, keep that same distance. Don't get to doing this and then go fast, or start off and then slow down. You want to keep that same travel speed. So it's almost like, then again, like driving. If once you lock it in at 75, which is the new speed limit on most, highways, once you lock it in on cruise control, you can actually ride and you ain't got to worry about anything. So once you lock your travel speed in, fam, that's key. So travel speed, angle, closeness. Remember that. And as long as your machine is set right with the proper voltage and the wire coming out, you'll be okay. So a lot of times it's just practice, and just think, man, practice make perfect. A lot of things that we do, we get better over time once we practice at it, and especially if you have an interest in it. I've learned majority of all the welders I have taught had an interest in learning, like they really wanted it. They wanted to learn it. They wanted to use it, and those are the ones that got more out of it. And like I say, welding is something you can evolve in. And the cool thing about evolving in welding is you can start off as a beginner, go into a journeyman, and then become a master, and then become just where you don't weld at all and you just want to just teach, nothing but teach. You know what I mean? I think I always weld as long as I can weld, but I will, I just be doing different things. I don't like to get my hands dirty on certain things that I don't have to, but the things that I enjoy doing, I probably always weld as long as I can move around. But I just won't do as much in certain areas. But I enjoy teaching. I enjoy fabricating and putting things together. But I think that that's one thing about welding that is good. It can evolve with you. It can go with your age. Once you're young, you're in your 20s, you're in your teens, fam, hit that road, learn, see people, travel, figure out what area you want to be in. A lot of us born in rural areas, we feel like where we at is the only place. We think that, if we don't get no support from that inner area where we're from, we ain't gonna make it, fam. And there's a lot of strangers out here that's rooting for us, fam. That's a lot of strangers rooting for you, and I'm rooting for you, fam. I want you to win. I want you to learn something, no matter what nationality, where you're from, what your predicament is. If you can get something like welding, fam, it can change your life. It can take you places like, me doing a decade in prison from the age of 16 to 26. I never imagined that I would, wake up one day and eat breakfast in Miami and have lunch in Atlanta and be eating dinner in Birmingham, having a meeting on doing some shipping container conversions. I would have never imagined it, and I'm thankful that it was all because of what I learned. And I started, fam, like I say, in a cell. And when I got out, fam, my first job, I was doing MIG welding, spool gun, and TIG welding, aluminum. Like I say, I was building amulet parts, and we was doing the boxes and the cosmetic, the steps and stairs and stuff. And I learned a lot from it. And then I moved to doing field welding work, which I really gained a better passion and started making more money once I started going outside, honestly. So once I started doing the field welding, iron working, I gained a lot of more experience. So, I have to give, I have to pay homage and just say that learning hands-on was one of the best things that, I could do. And then I was around different old school guys that been around, and I learned, I watched. A lot of times, fam, people won't teach you verbally, but you can watch them and learn that pattern. So just because you're around some certain people and say, man, dude won't teach me nothing, you can watch them. Certain people won't have to tell you verbatim. If you watch what they do, you can learn the process. Let me see what you're saying, fam. Make sure I ain't missing nothing. Oh, you don't spray. Oh, you gotta change that angle. Okay, okay, okay. Yes, I'm gonna tell you that's what they doing in this job in Doom is they doing transfer spray. They run about 450 amps or more. So I would say this, bro. That spray it just it's hotter. You want to move fast. You don't want to. You want to have that right angle. If the angle isn't right, it's gonna splatter a lot. If you got the right angle and you pushing it, you want to make sure you don't want to drag that at all. You want to push that. Make sure you pushing it whatever direction you're going, north or south. Just make sure you're pushing it. Your angle is right. If your temperature is right and you got your, because with that you can actually have about an inch stick out if if you're welding around something and you can still do a good weld. Normally I have with that probably about a half inch. Normally I'll run about a half inch stick out, and that's normally what I do on the post transfer welding. I think that process is actually a lot of companies is going through that because it's a they can get big spools of wire. You can actually get some good penetration when you're building products. And like I say, fam, it's products over China. They really building products. And the cool thing I noticed about this company, they are a German company and located in America. And some of when America steel went crazy and they couldn't get their steel, they kind of slowed down and had to lay some people off before they started trying to buy those ridiculous prices because they couldn't do what they was doing with the numbers until they actually can kind of get their stuff imported in. And once they started able to get their stuff in again, they started getting truckloads from them because they buy their parts. And it just taught me something. When you're building and you got a good product, your parts is everything. If you can't get what you need, your business can go down if you depended on certain metals, certain gases, certain materials. So I have heard lines, I've seen lines go down. Man, that them parts ain't in. Oh, that didn't come in. Oh, they come in, they might just be doing small days, messing around, half a days until they get the stuff going, then they jumping off again. So, the process of having your parts and knowing the different degrees of welding as far as what it's going to take when you start getting out here. But I will say this, fam, learn more than welding. Just don't be a welder. Be a welder fabricator. That's where you're going to get your money at. Be a welder installer. That's where you're going to get your money at. I like to say that a person should, if we are threefold beings, then we should use welding the same way. You can use it as a business. You can use it as an individual personal thing on a job. You can use it as a product, so just keep your eyes open. And like I say, when it comes to picking your unit, I would at least start out with a 140. Now for those who are using gas units, let me say this. So for those who are getting gas units, you can start off anywhere from a 225 to a 250 to a 305. It's just more amperage. It depends on what you're welding. If you're doing pipe welding or structural welding, it just depends on what you're doing, how much current you want to have. If you're just getting started, a 225 is great. I like at least to have a 250. I think if you hit that middle, that 250, it can pretty much do what that 305 can do almost. You know what I mean? So you can pretty much still kill several birds with one stone by having that 250. So, don't get caught up with sizes or looks. And now if you're doing pipe welding, you want a pipe liner, they got different pipe liners. Those things can get expensive, anything from 3,500 to 15,000. You know what I mean? So I have seen them range. 35 is a used one. Let me say that. You know what I'm saying? Like a used one, probably beat up. You know what I mean? But when it comes to them, there's many different welders out there on the market. When you're buying your used welder, I will say try to find you something you can get parts for. Don't buy something so old where you can't find no parts for it. Now it might be good for a season where you can get some money from. That's good. Hey man, let me use this welder to get some money. If it go out, I made enough money to buy me a new one. I have done it before, fam. You got to do what you got to do. So, and a lot of times, fam, I want to say this just to give you some game. For those who are starting out a business and you want to do some mobile welding and you caught up with buying a machine and you're trying to get money to do this, there's a lot of big rental places that will rent you out welders at a price where you can be at that welder into your job, do the job, make the money, buy you a welder, return theirs. Or you can do the job and go rent theirs depends on, if you're doing structural jobs and traveling jobs, rent theirs, and it's worth you renting theirs, paying them, and you don't have to get one. Sometimes the price can be like what I want to own one for. If anything happen to it, they gonna fix it, they gonna service it. A lot of time when one go down, they're gonna bring one out there to the job, and sometimes it's more affordable if you putting a lot on them to let them do all the service, and then you don't have to. So it all depends on how you want to do it. So certain things is worth owning, having your own, and certain things is worth renting and leasing. It makes it easier for you to have more wear and tear on theirs than on yours. Depends on what you're doing. So I would say that you have plenty of options. So if you're field welding and you're looking for gas machines, I have had good luck with the Lincoln and the Miller machines. Both. I have good luck with both of them. So I've had both. I've had this other brand that I seen. I don't know what it's called, but it's blue too. They come blue, but they're good welders. And they was affordable. I think they probably was made by a big brand, and they other sub brand or whatever. But you can get parts and stuff for them. So just look around. There's a lot of places that people going out of business too that you can find welders. Like my 205, not my that Lincoln 250 that I have. I actually caught it on a business sale that was going out of business. The guy bought this welding shop, and it had a lot of different equipment in there. And he actually sold me the 250 at a good reasonable price because he thought, it's a small unit. He's seen all these big ones. He was like, well, just give me this for that. I about broke my pocket off, family, trying to get this man his money. Because I know this man, in my mind, I'm like, he don't know what he's doing. Let me hurry up about this. And I was trying to see if he had another one like that, but he had already sold all the little ones. So I would have had two of them. I would at least bought two of them if he had two of them at the price he was giving me for. And they are good stick welders and TIG welders. So you can aluminum and stainless with those. I think that when it comes to, not aluminum, stainless and carbon, I'm sorry. When it comes to doing TIG welding, you're going to have to make sure it's going to come with more, your machine might be more expensive, especially when you're doing high alloys like aluminum. So, most of them will have a water cool, or you can only do so much, or you can get the spool gun and you can connect it to your MIG and you can do it that way. But if you're TIGging it, you're probably going to spend a little bit of money for that machine. So just wanted to say that. So just wanted to check, make sure I had an update. So I wanted to talk to y'all about that. Like I say, didn't want to spend a lot of time, but I wanted to address it. Like I say, one of my followers asked me to address it. And I like the fact that he said that he wanted to hear it from me. He didn't want to go to a lot of the older channels and to talk or to listen to them. He would rather, me answer some of the questions. So feel free, fam. I want to start going live where I just do Q&As to answer questions, because when I have the time, fam, I love to give some information out that can really help and change someone. And I know that when it's all said and done, fam, we got bills to pay, we got things to do. Everybody got bills to pay. Everybody got something to do. So we understand that there's many ways to eat, many ways to get income. So I don't think small. So while I got the time, I like to give, I like to talk, I like to give the information out. But I do have different ways a person can network with me through going on Amazon Prime. You can get some of the shirts, the HogOn Welding shirts from Amazon Prime. You can get some of the HogOn Welding shirts from Amazon Prime. You can also you can get some of the original HogOn Welding shirts. I have different brands. Once you go on Amazon and go to the, if you put in HogOn Welding, probably HogOn Welding t-shirts or hoodies, when it's pop up, hit the brand, and it's going to show you Pan Africa versions, show you the HogOn University, the original, the Creed, hoodies, t-shirts, sweaters, phone cases, pop sockets, I believe, pillows, bags, you know what I mean? I got a few different things. So for those who want to support that way, I appreciate it. And also visit the website. It's www.hogonwelding.com. That's www.hogonwelding.com. Just check it out, see what I got going on. I'm actually going to get some updates done to the website here soon. But as of now, for those who want to get welding skids, a few people ask me about my welding skids. You can get the prints on the site, the vertical or the horizontal, for $100. I think it's very, very affordable. For $100, you can actually build your own and duplicate them. I want to see a person gain a trade and have gained their independence. And so for those who do that, I think that's a great option. And then you can actually get an email for those who want to know if they need to get certain material or certain things. I answer questions, so it's a win-win. And then, like I say, I have the classes. So for those who want to participate in any of the welding private classes that I have up at this point, I have the 30-hour class at $750, the 40-hour class at $1,000, the 80-hour class at $2,000, and 2021 50, and it, like I say, it combines a combination of welding, fabrication, blueprint reading. And so we go more in depth and business questions, because most people want to know how to start the EINs, how to get the LLCs, how to get things going. And so when you have a person who has been well rounded and who has actually touched all fields, I can be able to answer more questions, and I'm more of an asset. And I believe learning from a private person, not just me, but anyone in a private facility, a lot of times you can get more up close and personal. You get more information, and they'll be willing to give you more, because to do this, it's not all about the money, fam. For the prices that I get, I know I just got bills to pay. I have to pay because I have to use certain equipment, buy certain things. So it ain't like I just pocket all the money. I still have to buy things. I still requires my time. But I do it because I have a passion on doing it. I really want to educate and help, because I was blind. I was a blind adolescent. I was a black juvenile who, looked up to my hood. I didn't know nothing better. I didn't know a different way to make money. You know what I mean? I realized I was a hustler. I wasn't a drug dealer. You know what I mean? I just dealt drugs because that's what was given to me. You know what I mean? So some things we do because, it's the environment. We are products of our environment, fam. So, if we can get better information and we can be able to grow from it, that's what I want to do. So for those who, want to participate in the classes, I'm actually working on also on a membership. So I'm gonna have a membership for $49 a month, working on a live membership on my YouTube, where we can start getting more into the gritty ways of making money, more of how I think outside the box. It would probably blow your mind, and if you in certain areas on what you can do and how you can use certain amount of money. And I want to talk to a community, to my people who actually want the information. And like I say, it takes money to make money. So if you got a prescription and you're not actually making money on it, then don't use it. But if it's something that you can use, so my goal is to create something that we can use, that we can build from, and use some information where you can actually create some generational wealth. So that's the goal, fam. So just wanted to come live and just give y'all some updates, some welding information. There's many different directions you can go with welding, so don't get discouraged, whatever area you in. If it's not in your area, don't be afraid to relocate. You'll be surprised what an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours can do outside of your area. 5 hours outside of where you're from can change your life, huh? It might be in a completely different state. It might just be in a different city. So the welding education and knowledge that's available right now, and the jobs and opportunities, to me, is going to be endless. Everything needs a welding process. Even if they get machines, there still be certain things that we have to do, certain repairs that we have to do. So with that in mind, learn welding. I would say learn shop welding and field welding. I always like to say a field welder isn't a shop welder. And I mean, field welding isn't shop welding, and shop welding isn't field welding, because most field welders I met can shop weld, but a lot of shop welders I met can't field weld. So it's good to be diverse when it comes to that. I think that'll be an asset. And like I say, just learn what you want to learn. You can't tailor your education, so keep that in mind. Oh, no problem, brother. No problem. I appreciate it. Like I say, there's a lot of different parts in it. How do I feel about union versus non-union? Good question, man. I think at one time I did a video about that, and I was talking about that because I don't like union, to be honest with you. But um, I have seen some union have benefits, and some non-union have benefits or have less benefits. I've seen people get more money having union jobs. I have seen them make more money. Now you might have more dues, or you might have more things coming out your check. So sometimes it can equal out where you'll be making what the average person will be making, but you have way more benefits than that person has. You know what I mean? So, in my personal opinion, if you are an entrepreneur in heart and spirit, you might not like union work. You know what I mean? You might not like that. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of rules, and you know, it's a lot of control. So it depends on who you are. I would say that depends on your nationality, your background. Uh, but me personally, I like non-union work better. I like working with mom and pops. I'm gonna say if you can find you a good mom and pop welding company, oh, you'll win. A lot of them, you'll pay you decent, treat you like family. Y'all make products. Y'all look out for one another because they understand that they need you. It's like an arm. Understand that I need my fingers too. You know what I mean? And not only do I need my fingers, I need to get to the table, so I need to walk too. So, some smaller companies realize that the members are important, and some bigger companies just look at them as numbers. So, some companies, non-union companies and union companies will look at you as a number, and some don't. So, to me, it's to each his own. But if I would give you a percentage of how I feel about it, me personally, I don't like union work. I would rather be non-union. Now, this job that's in Dumas, Arkansas, where I'm at, that's hiring right now. So for those who looking for employment in this area in Southeast Arkansas, it is a union job, but you don't have to pay dues. You pay dues if you want to be a part of the union, or you can just be a worker. But the company is a union company, so it's kind of confusing because I didn't even know it was a union company, and then there's a union company, and some of them got union members, and some, so it all depends on if how long you've been there, what you want to do. If you're in the area, you know you're not going nowhere, you want to be here, you probably want to be a part of it because it's more benefits. So it's just different things to each its own. If you traveling, you want to move around, you want to make more of your money. It just depends on what you want to do. So just keep your options open, fam. I would say that. But as for me personally, I go towards a more of a non-union job versus union job for me personally. But wherever the money at, wherever area you at, if union where it's paying and you can get in and get it, get in and get it. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people, man, we have to be chameleons sometimes. You might not like a certain thing, but the light bill is still due on the 15th, the 12th, the 5th, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So regardless of us following our dreams, fam, I just want to be realistic. Regardless of you following your dreams and really want to do certain things, you have to be realistic with them too. You have to know that when something ain't working, it ain't working, to switch it up. Don't be naive and keep hitting your head against a wall or a door that you know that is not opening. You know what I'm saying? Go a different route. There's a window right there. Bust the window out. Forget the door. You know what I'm saying? Let's get out this building. You know what I mean? So sometimes we just have to think outside the box, be patient. And I will say this for those who get into business or those who get into a career. Don't be afraid to spend your money for your education, for your development. Don't be afraid to relocate, travel, get under a good instructor, get under a good person that you can get some information from. Sometimes just the opportunity is way more valuable than the money, fam. Okay, you know what? Pipe fitting and pipe welding is a good opportunity. As far as the shop welding, the biggest difference is a lot of the shops is controlled environments. So you have a controlled environments inside of the shop. A lot of shop use gas welding from 75-25 to argon to 100% carbon dioxide, depends on what they're welding. If it's flux core or regular MIG. A lot of times the pay is different because of the shop environment. A lot of times, you know, the shop environment, you see certain shops making $12, $13, $15, $16. You know what I mean? So the pay can be a lot less in the shop because of the environment. And then, you know, being in the field due to the weather and the elements being outside and the risk of taking, you know, machinery of different things could go wrong or hurt you, they tend to pay you more for your risk. So it's all, you know, it's like a risk thing, and it's a different job factor. So sometimes they'll pay you more because you actually have to learn more safety things in the field, more OSHA. Most people in the shop don't have to be OSHA trained. They have to be aware of certain rules and regulations inside the shop. But when you in the field, you will have to have a OSHA 10, OSHA 30, or MSHA or something. Depends on what you're doing. If it's on working on a mine or, you know, working on a structural job, you know, and you know, I did a lot of structural welding in Tempe. We put up a lot of fire escapes, and we did one that was 21 stories high, 21 or 22 stories high, and the staircase started from the bottom of it, and they went up in the center with the concrete columns all the way up, and then they built off, you know, from it, you know, the pads from it. So it was pretty neat, you know, the design and how they was doing it, and to be a part of that project was pretty neat. And that pay wasn't that bad, I believe. At that time, this was some job work I was doing, and I think I was making $22 an hour then, and I was just a lead welder, installer, iron worker. And you know, like I say, I did that a few months, got some money, and moved around. But it was an opportunity when I got there. You know, and that's another good thing. Jobs, fam. Let me say this: a job is like a basketball. You can drop it, bounce it, get you another one. So don't get caught up in thinking you got to stay at a certain company, you can't grow. Be willing to let certain things go and bounce. But when it comes to your family, your true friends, you know, your spirituality, so to speak, you don't want to drop those. Those are glass balls. If you drop a glass ball, 9 times out of 10 is going to fracture it, crack it, blemish it. You know, it's going to be something on it to remind you that you dropped it. So you really want to hold those things close to heart. What I have learned, fam. Never put money before those, in my personal opinion. It's going to work out. You got to get it, but don't drop that, you know, because when it's all said and done, your family will be there if the job lay you off. And just think of it like this. I like to say, you know, do your job, but realize that you can't pass. You can't promise your son a position where you was at a company. But if you get that knowledge, you can give him some knowledge where he can go to any company, or you can give him knowledge where he can start his own, you know, his own company. So one thing about welding is you can transcend from being on a job to actually owning a company, doing your business and teaching. So there's many different avenues to it. So just remember 4 processes: MIG welding, flux core welding, TIG welding, and stick welding. And when it comes to buying your first machine, I would say if you're a beginner, at least get you a 140 unit to get you started. If you can afford a 180 or a 210, hey, go get it. You know, get what your money can afford. But I say don't break the bank. You can get started with a 140 unit. When it comes to your gas units, you know, getting you in the middle, 250 is good, 225, 305. You got options. I have just, you know, I just stick with what works. You don't have to break the bank. You can find some deals. You don't have to buy new, but if you got good credit or you got good money or however the situation run, you can leverage it however you want. But getting into the field, fam, how to choose your path, your welding path, is just sitting down and making a decision on what direction you want to go in. Y'all be blessed, continue to prosper. I'm out, fam. Black Feniks.